Hi. In this video, we are going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about how to create basic if statements in Google Sheets and also how to create nested or series ifs. So if statements are used in almost any worksheet program that allows us to create logical statements and then produce values out of that logic's answer. So for example here, if the job rating is less than 4, then we have to put in this cell a bonus of 3,000 and otherwise a bonus of 5,000. So whenever you need to start your if statement, you have to start with, of course, the function if. So equals if, and then open parentheses, and you will see that it's now asking us for the logical expression. And that would mean that we're going to create a statement that is answerable by true or false. And that statement would be if this cell, D4, is less than 4. So this is our logical statement. If D4 is less than 4. So there's only two possible answers to that question. It's either true or false. And as you can see, true and false are the two next values of our if statement. So with that, we're going to then put a comma, and then we're going to identify what if the value is true. So based on the instruction in the comments, then we would give 3,000 for as a bonus. And if it's not, then we're going to put here 5,000. And that's it. So if, and then followed by the logic, what if it's true? And then what if it is false? So this is our logic. Okay, pardon my penmanship. And then we have our true. Okay, and then we have our false. So you have to create the formula this way. You cannot swap them around. It always has to be in that order. So we can also use formulas within the if statements. For example, here, if the person has been with the company for more than 24 months, then he or she gets an allowance of 500 times the number of months. If not, then it's 250 times the number of months. So with that, we start with if, and then open parentheses, and then we're going to find the number of months. So that would mean this cell over here, cell B4. And the instruction is if it is more than 24, so if B4 is greater than 24, then it's going to be 500 times the number of months, so B4. So as you can see here, it's not just a straightforward number, it's a calculation, 500 times B4. And if it's not, so 250 times B4, then close. So now we have another if statement wherein we have again our logic. If B4 is greater than 24, then we calculate the allowance as 500 times B4. If not, on the other hand, it's going to be 250 times B4. So this is the basic structure of if. But what if you have more than one possible condition? If you notice here, we have only true and false. But what if it's beyond two possibilities? Like in this example, I want to indicate that if it is 0 to 10, it's urgent. 11 to 20 is critical. 21 to 50 is on stock. So we don't just have a true and a false. We have three possible remarks. So to solve something like this in Google Sheets, or actually in even in Excel, we'll start with, of course, an if statement. And then we're going to find our or create our logical test. Our first logical test would be if C4 is less than or equal to 10. So I hope you see here how we use less than and equal to 10, which is not the same as using less than 10. So if I say less than equal 10, it means that 10 is included. While if I say C4 is less than 10, then 10 will not be included, okay, in the true statement. So now we're going to the true argument, which we have to type as urgent based on that instruction over there on the right. And then comma. And then we're left with what if the value is false? However, at this point, we still have two possible remarks. We still have critical and we still have unstuck. So therefore, one if would not be enough to solve this problem because we only have one argument remaining, the false argument. So what we can do in this case is we have to use if again. So instead of locking it up with one answer, we're going to start another if. And this time, it's going to be if C4 is less than or equal to 20, then it's going to be critical, comma. And now our second if statement is asking what if it's false? And at this point, we actually do not have any other remarks other than the on stock remark. So we've already brought in the formula urgent and critical, and we only have one remaining. And if you only have one remaining, then you don't have to create another if. So what I'm saying here is that you can actually bring in a lot of ifs, okay, in your formula, but eventually you will reach a point wherein you only have one remark remaining. And if that happens, you don't have to write another if. This one serves as our final false argument wherein if the value is not urgent, if it's not critical, then we get this word. So there has to be that argument that will sort of like capture anything that the first logical statements will not pick up. Now, whenever we write something like this, you have to remember that you have to write it in order. So you see here that we started with less than 10 and it's followed by less than 20. If we have more than just two, think of it like a ladder or a staircase, wherein we started with less than or equal to 10, and then it was followed by less than or equal to 20. So if ever there are more remarks, okay, more layers, then we have to create more if statements. And you have to remember that you have to write the if statements in order. You cannot just like put the numbers however you want them to be. Like I want this argument to be first, then that, then that. There has to be an order in the way that you write your if statements because you want to make sure that the if statement is flowing correctly, okay, with the correct layers of numbers. And that's our discussion on if statements. So again, there's always that basic version wherein you have your just if and then one logic, okay, and then one true and then one false value. And then you also have a version of if that utilizes a nested or series of ifs wherein you create this series of ifs that will check whether the value is it less than 10, is it less than 20, and so on until it reaches the one last argument. And that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.